Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking at what is absolutely the most surprising, heartbreaking, and ultimately uplifting story to come out of the 2026 World Cup. We're talking about a narrative that totally transcended football. It captured millions of hearts, and today we're going to unpack the stats, the background, and the raw emotion that made it so unforgettable.
We've got to start right at the emotional climax. Picture the image that flashed across TV screens all over the globe. Right after a grueling, historic match, the undisputed hero of the game just breaks down in tears on live TV. He's not cheering, he's not parading around, he is literally weeping. And it left the whole world watching at home asking, why? What could make a player cry so intensely in his ultimate moment of triumph?
What makes this even more incredible is that this previously unknown player is 40 years old. Yeah, 40! His presence on that pitch is living proof that true global recognition can arrive way after most people have totally given up on the dream.
So, Section 1, The Hero Who Cried. Let's look at this story of passion. To really understand those tears, we have to look at the odds he was facing. In a sport that is just obsessed with multi-million-dollar superstars and massive clubs, an unknown veteran from a tiny island completely stole the world spotlight. It's wild. This underdog story proves that passion, hard work, and literally decades of silent sacrifice can be far more powerful, and honestly way more captivating, than any big-name superstar.
Moving on to Section 2, From Cape Verde to 2026, a historic journey. And this journey starts on a tiny island nation. Before the 2026 World Cup, very few people around the world knew the name Jose Evora Diaz. But to his fans back home, he's affectionately known as Vozinha. He had spent years, quietly, consistently becoming the absolute most reliable defensive force for Cape Verde. He was the anchor for his national team, even when literally nobody on the world stage was paying attention.
Born on June 3, 1986, in Cape Verde, Vozinha grew up facing a reality of pretty limited resources and very few top-tier sporting facilities. But his dreams were massive. He started at the local level, grinding through the ranks over decades, and finally, in 2026, he reached the historic World Cup. And get this, it was the very first time his country had ever qualified for the world's biggest football tournament, a real game-changer.
Okay, Section 3, The Wall Against Spain. A classic David versus Goliath setup.
Look, a lot of experts expected Cape Verde to just be happy to be there. But then we got the ultimate David versus Goliath scenario. On one side, you've got Cape Verde, the small island, first-time qualifiers. On the other side, the absolute powerhouse of Spain, full of world-class players and universally expected to just cruise to an easy victory.
But Vozinha, well, he had other ideas. On that day, the guy put on an absolute masterclass. Acting like an impenetrable wall, he stopped dangerous attacks one after another. We're talking brilliant, athletic saves that completely defied his 40 years of age. He just completely shut down Spain's world-class attackers. He literally refused to be beaten.
Then the final whistle blew. The scoreboard? 0-0. This historic goalless draw was nothing short of a massive victory for Cape Verde. They had actually held off one of the greatest teams on the planet. It sent their fans, both right there in the stadium and back home, into wild, ecstatic celebrations. It was an absolute miracle on the pitch.
Which brings us to Section 4, The Truth Behind the Tears, a really painful reality.
So the match ends, the cameras zoom in on Vozinha, but instead of celebrating, he breaks down. As he spoke to the interviewer, he revealed the deeply personal truth behind all that emotion. He shared that his grandparents, the people who actually raised him, were no longer in this world to see his ultimate success. But the thing that really broke him in that exact moment, his mother wasn't in the stadium. Suddenly, the entire world felt his heartbreak over the family that just couldn't be there to share his defining, lifelong achievement.
Let's dive into the harsh reality here. Despite him playing on the world's absolute biggest stage, serious financial and travel barriers had kept his mother stuck at home. She was forced to watch her son's historic, legendary performance on a TV screen miles and miles away. It made his greatest professional triumph just incredibly bittersweet. He'd finally made it, but the person who mattered most couldn't be there to witness it.
Section 5, A Dream Fulfilled. The Power of Global Support.
Luckily, the story doesn't end in heartbreak. What happened next was this beautiful chain reaction. First, that emotional interview goes globally viral. People everywhere just completely resonated with his profound love for his family.
Second, millions of fans across social media rallied behind him, showing massive support. And third, thanks to this immense global outcry, special travel arrangements were actually successfully made to fix this massive hurdle.
Because of this incredible global effort, the impossible actually became possible. His mother was flown out to the World Cup. She finally got to travel, step right into that stadium, and watch her son play up close. It was no longer just about a football tournament, right? It was the ultimate fulfillment of a shared dream between a mother and her son, all facilitated by the kindness of absolute strangers around the world.
Vozinha's story teaches us something absolutely crucial. Success isn't just a legacy reserved for big countries with endless resources. Passion, deep belief, and decades of perseverance, they can conquer immense odds. If you just keep moving forward despite the difficulties, when that single opportunity finally arrives, even if you're 40 years old, you can seize it and the entire world will recognize you.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. As we look at all the incredible athletic feats out there, is it the goals and the trophies that really matter? Or is it the unseen heroes who finally get their moment in the sun? Is Vozinha's journey the most emotional and inspiring story of the 2026 World Cup? Think about what his 0-0 draw really represented. Thank you so much for walking through this explainer with me. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.